Alrighty, so in this video, I'm going to be painting this Blood Angels captain in a sort of Grimdark style. So first thing I'm going to do is take some Typhus Corrosion. So whenever I paint anything in a sort of Grimdark, Blanchitsu-esque style, I like to add a little bit of Typhus Corrosion, just to add a little bit more texture and corrosion onto the armour. And this is just going on the armour, not all over, just little patches here and there. I'm not going to put any on the banner or the cloak or the weapons or anything like that, just on the armour. So next up I'm going to take some lead belcher, and I'm going to kind of sort of dry brush this, stipple it on, again just in sort of random places. Still just focusing on that armour, but you have to be neat with this. Just as you can see, I'm just putting it on here and there. I'm doing the same thing now with an orange paint. This is just to make it sort of look rusty. So the idea here is that the colour of the armour comes from the rust and the blood that's on it, and that'll be the next step that we do. By the time I've sort of done it, the blood sort of effect takes over a little bit, so I'm not sure how much difference this step actually makes, but it's still nice to have it in there. And I do think it gives us just a sort of lighter base to work with, especially with that silver as well. So the blood paint does show up and will register as being red. If I'd have done it straight onto the black, you probably wouldn't have seen it much at all. And you see I'm putting it on quite thin here. And yeah, dabbing it on. I'm going over most of the armour, but don't necessarily have to. You can see once that's dry, that looks pretty cool. And I'm just doing a dry brush of a lighter red. I think I'm using Mephiston red here, just to give us a little bit of a highlight. You don't have to do this step, of course, if you want it to look a little darker. And of course, the blood effect does leave the armour looking a bit glossy, so if that's not your thing, then of course a matte varnish coat will remove that. So next up, I'm just taking some Runelord brass. So of course, if I'm doing a sort of grimdark style, then gold can't be gold. It has to be dark. It has to be like a brass instead. So yeah, all the gold areas are just going to be done with Runelord brass, which is a paint that I really like. And going back in with our friend Lead Belcher to do all the metal areas. So some on the gun and this backpack banner. I'm a huge fan of backpack banners, so I do put them on a lot of miniatures. I'm going to take some Arakar flesh now. This is for purity seals and the rope. So if you are following along to this tutorial and you have anything like that on your miniature, then yeah, Arakar flesh is the way to go. I really like it, especially once we put the wash on. And we're going to be doing that right now with our good old friend Agrak. So going over all the previous steps, starting from the brass. So the brass, the lead belcher, and the Arakar flesh will all be getting the Agrak's Earthshade wash. So now I'm taking a sort of, this is sort of a muted sort of turquoisey colour from two thin coats. I really like having contrasting colours on my miniatures. So having a green with a red works really well, but of course, being grimdark, I want something quite muted, so you could mix a grey into a green to get a serious colour, a similar colour, sorry, and yeah, it works really well. And I just take a dark brown to do this holster. I'm just using dry bark here, I believe, and some Death Reaper for all the black areas. I always like using a dark grey instead of a black, especially as we're gonna put a Nuln Oil wash over all of these. And yeah, on with the Nuln Oil. Now I normally end up mixing a little bit of Black Templar in with it. I don't know what they've done to Nuln Oil, but if you've bought one recently, it's not very good. It's not dark enough. It just seems like a light grey. Yeah, so a little bit of Black Templar goes a long way. So I'm taking some Eidolon Grey from two thin coats. Any sort of lighter grey, just to run some little highlights on the black areas. Of course, do this once the wash is dried, of course. I don't think that needs explaining. And then back with our friend Mephiston red. He's just going to paint all the blood drops. So There's quite a few on this miniature. And I thought, yeah, just Mephiston Red will do. You can, of course, add another colour for a little highlight or whatnot, but I didn't bother. Now I'm taking a lighter sort of turquoisey colour here, and I'm sort of stippling it on. Now, this is a really lazy approach to painting a cape. I'm literally just stippling on this colour. It's a little bit thin down as well, but it works quite well. You might want to spend more time maybe doing some blends and glazes and whatnot, but I do like stippling to add a bit of texture. But of course I could build it up in various stages, but I've literally just done this, and yeah, that's fine. Then the skin I'm just going to paint with Kislev Flesh, and obviously going over black it'll need at least 2 thin coats, but I think I've done about 3 to get a nice coverage, and then just a flesh wash shade on that as well. And I'm going to use Ivory Tusk to highlight it and thin it out a bit because I don't want it to be too stark, but I do want them to have quite a sort of pale face. Blood Angels are kind of like vampires, aren't they? So yeah, I just paint most of the higher areas in this, and it'll dry a bit lighter than it looks. And if it's too light, you can go back over it with the flesh shade a bit more. Okay, so back in with the lead belcher for the 3rd time in this video, and I'm just stippling on little bits of like battle damage basically, just on the armor and on the weapons, make them look a little bit more interesting. Just doing it very lightly in some places though. And here we have the final miniature, and I had no idea what to do with the base, so I just done a really simple base for now, but I'll probably change it at some point or add something to it. I'm not really sure, but for the purposes of this video, just a simple little base with some texture paint and a dry brush. I think I just done a lot of green wash on there as well, just for a bit more contrast. But yeah, I really like how he turned out. I think the sort of muted turquoisey green colour works so well with the red. And yeah, I sort of had visions of what the armour would look like. I wanted to try using like just a blood paint, mostly for the red, and I think it worked out okay. It's given us a nice sort of dark red, but I didn't want them to look too dark, because then it might look like a flesh tearer. So I found a sort of happy medium. And yeah, I quite like it. Hopefully you guys like it too. And if you have, then feel free to hit that like button. And you can subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so already. And we really appreciate every like and subscribe and comment we get. I do read all the comments and I will answer them all as well. But all that's left to say is thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again in the next video.